Hello guys, this is Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net with you once again for the second to last piece in this book. That's sort of the thumbnail. So this is my favorite comping method, as you know, and this one is called Rhythm Number 2. And it's a walking chord type of study, and quite honestly it was quite difficult. It has been recorded upstairs, once again on my brown sofa. I should start a video series called the Brown Sofa Jazz Guitar series of some sort. So this was recorded on classical Takamine. This is nylon string, and it's chung style. Not as easy as it sounds, unfortunately for me. So what I'm gonna do, as usual, you can take a minute to watch a performance of it, and I'll be back right after to discuss some of the techniques, some tips, and sometimes some typos in the book, and some ideas for the fingerings. All right, so let's get going. Alright, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the performance of Rhythm Number 2, which is in fact a rhythm change, and as Galbraith says in the book, top of the page, it's the same as Rhythm Number 1, which was a previous study, but in this case it's all one chord per quarter note. You've heard it, it's here. You know, all really walking chord. Now, a few things. First, we have some landscaping. Not here actually, but neighbors, darn neighbors, like fixing their land, their landscaping and getting all this nice front porch or whatever. So sorry about the noise. Second thing, this study, I'm gonna do a lot of this because I'll be looking in the book. It has been pretty difficult for me because it's one of those that I sort of skimmed over the years. I have practiced it, but this time I was not able to bring it at the performance tempo. So what I really recommend is check it out. I bought this in the 90s, so CD included. And you can really listen to Galbraith do it because I think he does a way better job than I did. There's a few mistakes in my playing, and I know it's inevitable. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and but I think it's good enough for jazz. Just want to go over a few things. First, I want to tell you I'm not this type of player that started with the method. I forgot the name. I have it here on my shelf. But you know that method that teaches you these big things as an entry point into jazz. Personally, as you can see in courses such as Comping 101, Comping 102 on the website, I'm a big fan of getting your shells down first and then adding stuff. So I'm more of a top string player. I'm more of this kind of player than a walking chord type of player. So this is why this has been difficult. This study might be much easier for you if you're used to having the root on the bottom, 5th and 6th string. However, tempo is going to be an issue. So right off the bat, it's played, it's not breakneck speed, but just to make those physical changes. So anyways, enough rambling. We're going to get into some of the fingerings that I noticed that might help. So right off the bat, the very first chord here, we have this, so a B flat, an F, and a D, and it's played here. And actually what I did to simplify my life is simply to start with a B flat major 7 and use it like this. So that's another big component of the study, is you're going to get a lot of second finger and third finger bass going forward, and this can ruin your playing if you're not used to it. And it's not just because we do that, it's to permit the next chord to being played in the right position. So this can give you a hard time. So first chord this, and then going. So that's the point. Here you have a D minor 7, and then you want to go down to this, which is basically a shell voicing with the root here. And this would be your most natural way of doing it. But since you're coming from here, it's way better to go like this and leave your first finger alone, and then down to this one. So sometimes the fingerings, they look odd. So I'd say this is the 4th beat of the 2nd bar. And it says 4 finger on that top E flat note, on the F7 flat 5. So actually it's a B chord, right? A B7. But it's for that reason. So first off, you have to be really careful about that. The other part that gave me a hard time is bar 6. So bar 6 has, right before we have an E9 and then E major 9, that's fine. Then this guy, this is a 2nd inversion E flat major triad, and going from here is fine. It's just a string shift that may give you a hard time. Another case in point is sometimes the fingerings are written, and this would be the logical best way to do it, but since I have long fingers, sometimes I kind of take a detour and I take it on my own shoulders to kind of make it sound good, even though it's not the right fingering, but I can afford it, if you will. So I'll bring your attention to bar 1, 2, 3 to 11. So it's the 3rd bar in the 3rd staff. You have D minor 7, B, so this is B flat. So regularly you play a D minor 7 chord like this, right? But it says in the notation to play 3rd finger and then do this with your 4th finger, which is really difficult for me and really difficult to transition to when I do this. So instead I did this, and I bit the bullet and went like this. This I can afford. The problem is if you can't afford that stretch, you'll have to go the long way around and go, and then be diminished, and then do the same circus again. So those hard parts are a lot due to a lot of the inner voices movement. So really interesting, really fun. So if you watch a video, you'll be, oh, he's cheating. I am cheating because I sort of can't afford it. Top of the 2nd page, we jump into the bridge, which is the D7 chord, right? And of course, this could have been played, you know, with your index at the bottom. But what has to happen because of where you're coming from before is you have to do it like this and keep your index alone, not doing anything. So this is sort of a fun, it's a fun little musical line, but you have to appreciate the depth of the difficulty of the fingerings. And lastly, 2 more parts I want to discuss. So going into the last A section, so it's the last 2 staves of the 2nd page, where you start with the B flat 7, B flat 6 again. No dots on this guy, right? It's hard to find your way around the fret. So you have B flat 6, A flat 7. So if you just listen for the top note, what you hear is ba 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 ba. You will notice in the video what I do is instead of going ba 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 ba, I go. I cut it short because it's much easier for me to make the transition. So that's another sort of a cheat, and I've noticed it's sort of muffled. And the line is really, but the problem with the chord we're taking is it has to be here. So actually we jump around for 3 chromatic notes in a row, but we sort of jump around to grab the right chord. So A flat 7, G7, and then repeat the same circus. So I'll try this again. That's right. So that's the hardest part of the piece. I spent 80% of my time on this part, and you can see in the video, you can hear it, it's sort of muffled because we should hear so that's what we want to hear, but we hear some muffled strings and such. There's a missing chord at the end, so I heard Galbraith play D minor 7 as the very last chord, so last 2 bars go, and he just plays it like that. I've played it in the video as a tribute, and that's really it for the study. So we have one more to go in the book, and that's another thing I wanted to mention. I'm pretty good with the top string stuff as a player, and not just as an instructor. I get around to doing decent sort of walking basses with struck chords, which is the topic for the next one, Like Someone in Love. But for walking chord stuff, I'm not the guy for reference, unfortunately. It's a bit of a shame, but at least you can use this video and see what I'm doing, hear what I'm doing, and see where the trouble spots are, because you and I will have the same trouble spots, to be honest, because it's not my forte. On that note, I'm Marc from jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. That's me. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel and subscribe to your notifications, and share this video with anyone you think might like it. Comment in the video below for questions, comments, ideas, suggestions, or you can even tell me, give me a few tips on how to appreciate these chords better and how to do a better job. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.